Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast dedicated to people who want to speak more as a way to build their income and grow their business.
Welcome, everyone, to Blog Your Way to More Business with Scott Ginsberg. Scott Ginsberg is the only person in the world who actually wears a name tag 24/7. He is the author of 8 books, an award-winning blogger, and the creator of nametagtv.com, an online video training network that teaches professionals how to get noticed, get remembered, and get business. That's, again, because this is something that everybody on the line is interested in, that's nametagtv.com. He's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Fast Company, and on 2020 as the authority on approachability. When he's not traveling around the world giving speeches, Scott lives in St. Louis, where he can usually be found at hard work at his living room while still wearing his pajamas. Bravo, Scott. Thanks for being here.
Hey, here's to self-employment, right?
Exactly. I want to be the president of the Make Money in Your Jammies Club someday, so I'm following in your footsteps here. So let's just dive right in here. Tell us the impact that blogging has had on your speaking career.
I started my company, hello, my name is Scott, in 2002. So I started blogging in 2003. So that means I've been blogging for 6 years, and it is the absolute number one most effective, most profitable, and most important aspect of my entire business ever.
Wow. Why do you give us a little bit about that? What have been some of the benefits of blogging for you?
Where do I begin? There's the content management that it's enabled me to do online. There's attracting new fans. There's getting business. I once booked 50 gigs from one blog post.
Wow.
I can tell you a story behind that later. And all of that very speaker related. Dozens of media interviews. Fast Company, Wall Street Journal, Cosmo, Investors Business Daily. All of it came from my blog because of the positioning. My Google juice is insane. And I think most importantly, though, it forced me to get on a writing schedule, and it forced me to create an editorial calendar, and it helped me discover my voice and kind of got over the barrier of sharing my writing with the world, because I think that's a major challenge for speakers. And by the way, we're not speakers, we're writers, we're thinkers. Mm-hmm. And it's so challenging for people to want to share the material with the world on the web, on the page, where partly we got to be able to stick ourselves out there via our ideas. And that's what a blog is. It's a platform, and it is the most important tool in your arsenal ever.
Fantastic. So, one of the key things that I'm always preaching is the idea around focus. And you have developed a brand and developed a focus. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's probably one of the central reasons why it's been so successful, wouldn't you say?
I'll agree with that. And there's a common misconception, with not necessarily within NSA, but the whole world of thought leadership, experts, consultants, whatever. All of them are spraying. Instead of spraying and going all over the place, you need to focus. It needs to be tight. And I've established that through my school of thought and my philosophy of approachability. That's my word. I own it. If you Google it, I will come up a zillion times. That's what I do. And everything that I write about on my blog is somehow related to the concept of being more approachable. If it's not, I don't put it on there. So the secret behind focusing, there's a simple exercise that everyone on the call can do. You have to ask yourself a question, and this is, I collect questions. I have like 7,000 questions on my database. This is the number one. Are you ready for it?
We're ready.
All right. You ask yourself this question, and this will determine your focus for every blog post, every speech, everything you write for the rest of your life. The question is, if everybody did exactly what you said, what would the world look like? I'll say it again. If everybody did exactly what you said, which means if all the people that are reading your blog, if they actually listened to all the stuff that you're telling them to make their lives and their businesses better, if they did everything you said, what would happen? What would the world look like? If you can identify this picture of the ideal world of these people listening to you, now you go back in time. I call this a back to the future question. And now that you know what the end result is of your expertise and people applying it, you now have built a framework, your philosophy, your school of thought. So what you do is you write that question on the top of a sheet of paper, and you brainstorm like 5 to 7 answers. Your philosophy, what would happen if people listen to you. And then you now have this whole framework around which every other blog post you write has to be in. So it becomes this measure of accountability, and it keeps you focused. And the most important part is you make sure that every day when you post that blog that what you're writing about is giving people the tools they need to build that world.
Giving people the tools to build that world. So the question again is, if everybody did exactly what you said, what would the world look like?
Right, and every day your blog posts are giving them the tools to build that world. If there's something that you've written that's really good, but it doesn't give people the tools to build that world, that's cool. Just don't blog it because it's not part of your focus, and then you become like every other speaker who has 19 topics of expertise, and they look like a jack of all trades, and they don't make any money.
Okay, and the master of none. Okay, so when you first got involved in blogging, you probably did it for what reason? What was your main reason? Because there are people on the line right now who maybe haven't jumped in yet. What would you think the number one reason to absolutely get involved would be?
On October 8th of 2003, Seth Godin, who's one of my heroes and one of the best marketing writers and bloggers in the world, he sort of shared my story as a blog post and put a link to my site and put a picture of me. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, wow. And I was looking at my website. Like, I'm getting all these emails, like, what the hell happened? And I was like, why is it that I got 90,000 hits on my website in 2 hours? What happened? And then I looked around, and I'm like, oh, Seth Godin, he wrote about me on this blog thing, whatever this is. And I'm like, what am I thinking? How am I not blogging? I kind of knew what a blog was, but that day, I went on to blogger.com, I set up my blog, and I started because I was like, I am an idiot if I'm not blogging. And that's all it took for me was that one moment. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm sold. I'll start blogging. There you go.
So let me ask you this. When the people are being driven, and really that was my impression of the reason to get blogging in the first place, was that it will drive more people to your website. More people to your website means more product sales, and for the people on the line, more speeches, correct?
It depends on what your currency is. If you want to sell products, yeah. If you want to book speeches, yeah. My currency is the number of fans. My number one reason is to create as many fans of my ideas and of me and of the concepts and the philosophy as possible. And so the blog is a platform that invites these fans. And there's a little equation that I can share with people that I've been using for 6 years now. It's as sort of my foundation of blogging, and it's an acronym I put together. And if you spell it out, it would sound like SOFAT, SOFAT, SOFAT. And if you want to blog, you need to be so fat. And here's what that means. I know 60% of America is obese, but I'm still telling people to be so fat. But either way, SOFAT is an acronym, SOFAT, and it stands for you need to create a blog that people can stumble upon, obsess over, become addicted to, tell their friends. Excuse me, I screwed it up. Sorry. Stumble upon, obsess over, tell their friends about, become addicted to. I screwed it up like 3 times in a row. SOFAT. I screwed it up. Let me try it again. This is totally embarrassing. It's so they can stumble upon, become obsessed with, and fall in love with, become addicted to, and tell their friends about. There it is.
Okay.
That's the point of the blog. Yeah, you want them to get addicted to it, to fall in love with it, because they keep coming back. You want to draw traffic to your website. The thing is, a website's like a newspaper. Nobody wants to read it if it's 2 years old.
Right.
A blog is updated every day, and you're going to find you'll have a lot more traffic on your blog than your website. Eventually websites will no longer exist. It'll be only blogs.
Let me ask you a question about what you just said about gauging the traffic on your blog. This is probably a real basic technical question, but I don't know. How do you know how many people are on your blog?
I don't care, and I'll tell you why. Traffic is worthless. Traffic doesn't tell you anything. If you're monetizing your blog and you need traffic to report to advertisers, that's one thing, but I don't.
Right.
Traffic is a worthless statistic, and it just strokes people's egos. Tom Antion from NSA had a great line. He said, HITS are an acronym for How Idiots Track Sales.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how many people come. Frankly, I don't care. What I care about is
you don't have a way to see it. Then how many people?
I do. I can go on Google Analytics and I can look it up. I can go to Alexa.com and look at my traffic rankings. I don't care. The only thing I care about is how many emails I get personally from someone who read that says, "Oh, wow, that was really great," or "Hey, can I learn more about this?" or "Hey, you said you had a list of 10 questions to ask. Can I have that?" That's the currency that I'm looking for, because that's a new fan. That's an outreach. That is proof that what I wrote was persuasive because they took action.
Okay, fair enough. So that's how you gauge each blog post, by the success of what comes back to you.
Yeah, I mean, something that, if you've written something, it ceases to be persuasive until someone takes action. Maybe it's buy something, maybe it's call you, maybe it's email. Traffic, I mean, even comments are great, but it's like, I don't care, man. I want the emails. I want to talk to people. I want fans.
All right. So you want fans. How do you turn fans into currency then for yourself? How do you turn your fan base into revenue?
Okay, well, so back to that equation, the people that, stumble upon, obsess over, fall in love with, become addicted to, and tell their friends about, they start as a stranger, and I want to turn a stranger into a friend into a fan, and I do that through my permission asset. So I have my newsletter, I have RSS feeds, Twitter, blog, all this is part of my ginormous permission asset that at current has something like 15,000 people. And I didn't buy a list. These are physical people that have given me permission to market to them. That's how I do it. I mean, some people call it a funnel, whatever. It's a permission asset. These are people who anticipate my marketing, which is like the coolest thing ever. They know my newsletter's coming. They know the blog's coming. They know the tweets are coming every morning. And what happens is, if I give enough value every single day, consistently, which I do, they become fans. They start to love it. They could buy books. I have a one-on-one coaching program. It's called Rent. It's called Rent Scott's Brain. That's a big form of income. So people will, hey, can I rent your brain? Yeah, sure. I book speeches from blogs, all this kind of stuff. Media interviews I've then leveraged into, making different forms of income. All of this happens because of the baseline of someone was a fan of me. So there's a pretty simple equation. The more fans you have, the less selling you do.
Good, okay. So you don't do any outbound marketing because you're writing. That's your outbound marketing.
Well, you can look at it that way. So what I do, I read a book called Free Agent Nation a couple months ago. Really good book. It's about 10 years old, but still really good. And it was amazing. The guy who wrote the book, he quoted a study from UCLA from 2001, and they interviewed thousands of home business, entrepreneurs, and they said their typical small business owner entrepreneur spends 43 minutes a day on marketing. I want to puke when I hear that. Like, what do you do for the other 986 minutes? It's like, when someone says, do you do outbound marketing, every single thing I do every day, all day, is some form of marketing.
Right.
Everything. So everything I write, I mean, I'm a writer. That's my occupation. I write for 4 to 7 hours a day. That's marketing. I'm at a conference today at a trade show. That's marketing. I'm on a phone call with you. This is marketing. The goal is to transform every single action you do into some form of marketing. So that way it's not, do you do any marketing? It's, how do you not market?
Right. I hear you. Okay, so what do you think, why do you think, it sounds to me, and if there's anybody unsure on the line, they've got to be sold by now, why do you think people make excuses for not blogging?
There are many excuses that people make for not blogging, and I will quickly highlight some of those. The first one is, I can't really find the time. Well, that sentence in and of itself is a falsehood because of the word find. Because if you're trying to find something, that means you might not find it. You need to make time to blog. And once you realize that writing is the basis of all wealth, you'll start blogging every day. So that's one excuse. Another excuse is I don't know how. Very common. You know what? I didn't either. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. But never get stopped by not knowing how. Just go. Just do it. Just go on to Blogger or Typepad or WordPress, follow the instructions. It'll take 15 minutes, and just start doing it. You'll figure it out once you go. But don't let the barrier of thinking that you have to know what you're doing stop you. Another excuse is people are afraid to share their writing. Now, this one I understand because I've been there. So here's my suggestion. If you're afraid of sticking yourself out there, on the page with your ideas and thoughts, start blogging anonymously. This is what I did. I started the blog under a different name and some random person I made up, doesn't exist. And I wrote the stuff that I was afraid to share because I needed to have some confidence in my writing. Well, what happens is if you blog anonymously, you dissociate from this feedback that people give you, because now if it's not really you, it doesn't matter if they don't like it. Well, what happens is you gain this confidence with these small victories. When you blog anonymously, you start to kind of get over yourself, and you're like, oh, this is cool, I can do this. That's another way to overcome that excuse of being afraid to share. Just do it anonymously for a little while. You'll get it. Those are some common excuses that people get. I mean, think of it this way, Jane. My dog has a blog. No, I'm totally serious. If you're listening right now, go to PaisleyBlog.com, PAISLEY blog.com. If my dog can have a blog, so can you. And look, I know people are probably saying to themselves, yeah, but, Scott, your dog's not as busy as me. You know what? Paisley lives a very active lifestyle.
You're hilarious. I'm going to go to PaisleyDog.com. Okay. Is it PaisleyDog.com?
No, PaisleyBlog.com.
Blog. Sorry, I got that wrong. Okay. So obviously, let's move those excuses aside. And, I just put this out on Twitter a couple of days ago, most decisions based on fear are usually wrong. So fear that your writing isn't good enough, fear that people will steal your writing, whatever it might be, whatever fear you have, that's the wrong reason for making the decision not to move forward. And this is definitely going to help people move their business forward. So, okay. So I know people are probably wondering, how often, you've talked about blogging every day. Let's talk about what your process is, sending out newsletters versus blogs, et cetera, et cetera. How often do you do everything?
Okay, my newsletter comes out every other week.
Okay.
I blog every single day, 5 days a week. I rarely work on the weekends, so 5 days a week. A lot of people think you have to physically write that blog post that day or that morning. Big mistake. Mm-hmm. You want to create an editorial calendar. You want to create a queue. I have my next 500 blog posts written.
Oh my gosh!
I also have my next 10 books written. That's how much I write, because I'm a writer. That's what I do. I write 3 to 4, 7 hours every single day. So I can blog forever, and I'll never run out of material. So I challenge people to have plenty of blog posts ready to go in advance. Save them. You can save them as drafts in most blog folders in case you're traveling and you don't have access to the draft or whatever. But so I do that every single day. Twitter, I usually do my tweets between 4 and 9 in the morning because that's my writing time when I get up. And I'm an early riser. That's what I do. What am I forgetting?
If anybody doesn't know about Twitter, they will have not been watching the news or any show lately because it's everywhere. So if you just want to find out about Twitter, we won't get into it, but go online and Google Twitter and there'll be a million things there to watch. So lots of information there for you. Tell us about your formula. Okay. Your blog formula. You do things very precisely with something in mind.
Yeah, I have a system a content management system and writing architecture that I've been using for a long time, and it works because it's based on the psychological principles of the way our brains work, and it's based on attention span. And essentially, there's a headline, and my headlines tend to have a number in it because I'm a list guy. So, for example, I posted, I think last week it was 17 ways to turn vulnerability into profitability.
Okay.
So that's a powerful headline because it has a list and you know what to expect. And then anytime you can have a headline that has something to do with money, it's probably going to be good. I know I'm not an expert on money, but it's you got to hit people in the wallet. It's nobody cares about you. No, they just want money. They want to make money. That's it. They want to keep their job. They want to get a job. People want money. So have that in mind. You don't have to do everything about money, but it does tend to work. I always have a picture in every blog, and I use personal photos from me, my family, my life, because it's important to humanize the blog, and it's approachable, and it's who I am. If you don't use personal photos, I would definitely use pictures from iStockphoto.com.
Okay.
Get an account. You buy them. There's royalty free. It's $1 a picture. It's worth it as opposed to having crappy pictures from online, which I used to do. You want to have professional pictures on there. Some people will say don't have a picture. I think people like pictures, and I think it's easier to read. So you kind of make the call on that one.
That's a good point right there, Scott. You know, we're talking about what works for you today.
Yeah.
For everything that we're talking about, there'd be another 10 people out there who could tell you something different, and it's working for them. So
right.
I just want everybody to know that this is the world according to Scott Ginsberg today,
right.
and this has really worked really, really well for you. So take what you want, leave the rest.
Right.
There's going to be other people who are doing it differently and also successful. So
yeah, this. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, everything I'm saying today, this is my truth. It's not the truth. I am the exception to just about every rule, and I am not normal, and I do not live in a world of reality, so keep that in mind. Anyway.
Okay, so we're going with the formula.
So there's the headline, picture. The first sentence of your blog post is the most important part because after the headline, you got to hook them. You got to get them immediately. They need to know what to expect. And you got to get them right away. It's like, take out the fluff, take out the crap. Nobody cares. Nobody has time. Just give them the meat and the guts and the content. You know, there's so many speakers that they're all fluff. You can be fluff on stage. You can't be fluff on a blog. You got to hit people between the eyes right away. 2 seconds, 2 sentences, or they're gone. You'll lose them. They will not read it. So you got to get them immediately, and I'm not going to go into a writing structure about how to, engage an audience when they're reading that. I mean, that's not the point, but just remember immediately.
Powerful opening lines do go across the board, though, for all writing. Powerful line, no matter what you're doing.
Well, think of it this way. If you gave a speech, I just left a speech for the keynote speakers.
We're losing you, Scott, sound-wise here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry. The keynote speaker this morning at this conference, the first words out of her mouth were, "Thank you, it's so nice to be here this morning." Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, you got to hit the ground running. You would never say that in a speech, and if you say that as a speaker, you're out of your mind. So the same thing goes in a blog. You got to just start in the middle. Just go. So then you do that. You get them hooked. In my experience, lists tend to work the best because people can scan them. It's good to have headers or headlines of the different items on the list in bold or underlined so people can skim and scan. It needs to be readable. It needs to be quick and easy. The best way to summarize this, Kurt Vonnegut had a great line. He said, if you want to be a great writer, you need to be a great date for your reader. So you got to ask yourself, when people read it, are they engaged? Do they forget that they're reading? I mean, another good quote is from Elmore Leonard. He said, if you want to write a bestseller, just leave out the parts people skip. So think about the stuff you read. What do people skip? Like, I read books and then I can tell the author is about to tell a very charming story about his daughter. Like, okay, I'm sure that's very nice. I don't care. I want the meat. I want the guts. How am I going to make money? Think of it that way. Think of what people are skipping. And then length of blog posts, you don't want to make it too long because you'll lose people. I suggest doing series posts. If you have an idea, like if you have a blog post that's a 5-page document on Word, you probably need to make that into a 2 or 3-part series. Which is a good way to just keep people there, but that way you can really go deep into a topic.
Do you have a number of words?
No, I don't care. I know I've been writing a long enough time that I know what my length is, and I know when I have to hit the point. And the thing is, like some people will say, well, never do a blog post over 500 words.
Okay.
I think there's some truth to that. I also think that it doesn't matter how long it is. If you know how to engage people and challenge people and get them thinking, they're going to forget that they're reading and they don't care. Like, I mean, there's professional speakers like Alan Weiss. I would listen to Alan Weiss talk for 17 hours straight. I don't care what he says because he's just so smart and engaging and funny and cool. So if you know what you're doing, it doesn't matter how long it is because people aren't going anywhere because they're your fans. They love you.
So if they want to see samples of this, they can go to your own blog at hellomynameisblog.com.
Yep, hellomynameisblog.com. And you'll notice something that this is something I just learned how to do like a few weeks ago, and it's been really helpful. You do post excerpts, because I have very meaty, very deep posts content-wise, because I'm a high-content guy. So I put like the first 3 paragraphs, and then I put click to continue so they can click through if they want to read the whole thing. That way they can scan it and it doesn't take up the whole page on the first blog. That's a smart way to keep people engaged.
So just to back up to, you have one more thing in your format. At the end of every blog, what do you do?
The most important attribute of anything you write, anything you publish, any speech that you give is CTA, call to action. Your writing is not persuasive until somebody takes action after reading it. So go to my blog, and I'm not like, oh, look at my blog, it's so awesome. I'm doing this to prove the point. At the end of every single blog post, you're going to see what's known as my trademark closing. And this is copywritten. This is something I've created as part of my brand. Because, as a thinker, you need to brand your language, not just your logo, not just your website, your language. So every blog post ends with two things. First, it says, let me ask you this. And it has a powerful question like, when was the last time you were vulnerable? That would be like a powerful question. And then it's combined with, let me suggest this. And what it does, and you'll see this on the blog, as I said, I have a tremendous amount of material. And I have a lot of lists as just simple, quick-hitting list resources, like, 15 phrases to use with customers to show them you're taking ownership of their problem. So it'll say, let me suggest this. For the list called 15 ownership phrases, send an email to me and I'll send you the list for free. I get 20 to 30 emails from complete strangers every single day who read my blog. Oh, I love that post. That was great. Hey, can you send me the list? And I'll say, I would be happy to. Here's what you do. On my website, you can log in on this little area here that gives you access to all of my content library, and then the list you wanted is right there in volume 2. Enjoy. Okay, that's how we...
Would you have something like that a little bit automated, Scott? Would you have a little ditty and then you just put something personal at the beginning of it, or
it's,
so that it's easier for you?
Yeah, it's an autoresponder in as much as I customized a couple of very quick things with the person's name, or hey, thanks for reading, glad you liked it. But it's a document that I cut and paste, and everyone who's on this call is going to get a chance to see it because I'm going to offer a call to action when we're done in a few minutes. That I'll show people how this works in action. This has made me so much money, it's obscene.
That's great. Okay, terrific. So if someone is, I've had a question come in from Laura Harris just asking who you use now. You mentioned blogger.com. Are you still using Blogger? Have you switched over?
No, there are better services than Blogger. Like Typepad and WordPress are better. I stuck with Blogger because I like it and I'm used to it, and Google owns it, and I've got no complaints. I hired a professional blog designing company that designed my blog, and it's gorgeous. Like, if it was physically possible to make sweet love to a blog, I would do that to my own blog. So the point is, I hired them to make it look like it wasn't on Blogger, to make it look awesome. So if you hire the right people, and I used a company called The Blog Studio, which is actually in Toronto, fellow Canadian.
Okay. So I want to go back, and the blogstudio.com or .ca probably. Typepad is another one, and WordPress. WordPress is who I have mine with. So those are different options as well as Blogger.
Yeah, Blogger's great, but there are greater ones out there.
And blogging is basically free. None of these charge, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So no reason not to be getting moving forward if people are interested in moving forward. So this came in from Jackie. How do you get your blog exposure to make up some time in marketing once you start? How does it start to get known?
Nobody will care about, come to, or comment on your blog for 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
You've got to get over it. It's frustrating and it sucks and you want to quit. And interestingly, Naked Conversations, which is the title of the first book written on blogging a few years ago, they did a study that indicated that 50% of all business blogs were abandoned in the first 3 months. You know why? Well, number one, most people don't execute. Number two, most people don't have discipline. But more importantly, number three, nobody came and they got no traffic. It's like, well, no one's calling. I don't want to do it anymore. You got to suck it up. It's like talking to a wall, but you know what? If you stick through it, give it 3 to 6 months, people will start coming. And that's sort of the attitude behind this whole concept. There's like a million different directories you can list your blog in. You can promote it through your site. Twitter is a great way to increase your traffic. Facebook is a great way to increase traffic. Yeah, I mean, it's like any other website. You got to get people to come. I would strongly suggest that you know what you're talking about. That's always a good way to get people to come.
For sure, and keeping it focused, blogging on the same topic all the time. You know, when blogs were first invented, the same as Twitter, I think, people would just talk about what they had for breakfast or something boring like that. So if you have valuable content that's all focused in the same direction, then you'll be in better shape.
Yeah, the most...
Talk about technorati. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
No problem. My final comment was, as you are blogging, you have to keep in mind a very important cultural phenomenon. Nobody cares about you. It sounds tough and it sounds abrasive, and yes, I know people care about you, but you know what I'm saying? When people read about your blog, they don't care about you. They want to know about them. They want to make money. They want to learn. They want to get better. So just keep that in mind before you tell that story about your daughter. Ask yourself, is what I'm writing right now leaving an impression of value or vanity? Okay,
good point. Now, I saw you speak at Book Expo. This is what drew me to bringing you in the first place. You mentioned technorati. Can you speak on technorati for just a second?
I don't know a lot about it, but I'll do my best. Technorati is essentially the authority on blogs on the internet. So if you want to know how good someone's blog is or how many readers they have, you go to Technorati, and it's like a search engine for blogs. They did Technorati and Alexa. That's the other one. Alexa. They did a survey. Yeah, they did a survey on business blogs a couple years ago, and my blog was actually, they did this based on the numbers, based on traffic and links and posts, and my blog was actually voted in number 39 on the web of business blogs.
Terrific.
Which, if you consider the fact that every single day there's 175,000 new blogs, that ain't bad.
That ain't bad at all. Now, what if I don't want to blog every single day? What would you say the minimum should be?
I don't know. That's another one of those rules that it's going to depend. Like, my dog only blogs like once a week because she's really busy, you know. I would say if you're starting out, I would shoot for 3 times a week. That's what I started with. So, but what's going to happen is eventually when you start blogging every day and you realize that's the smartest thing you could ever do for your speaking business, you'll never not blog every day again. And when you miss a day, you'll wake up the next, oh, damn it, I forgot to blog, because it's just that powerful.
All right. Let's talk about what kind of things you might want to add to your blog. You have talked about photographs, and now you've got video going on with your new video. So talk about the uses of other technologies.
Blogs are cool because they enable you to embed a lot of cool stuff. So I have my widget from Amazon.com that's got all my books on there. That's kind of handy. I have a Twitter widget that has my live posts. You've got pictures. Nametag TV. Every week or so, I have a new online video training module, and I embed that in. And the whole point about this stuff is, it's interesting, and the secret is you don't want to have a website. You don't want to have a blog. You want a destination. And the secret is you want to get people to want to come back day in and day out just to see what's going on, just to see what you're up to. So whether that's updating content or pictures or whatever regularly, you got to remember that attention span is limited. People are busy. They got stuff to do. What are you going to do to hold their interest? Here's an interesting factoid. YouTube, which has, 100 million videos, it's fascinating about the study they did 2 years ago that Seth Godin revealed in one of his books. He said, on YouTube, the average length of a video is like 5 minutes. He found out, though, that the average time a person on YouTube watches a video is 10 seconds.
Wow.
That is mind-blowing, and it's important to recognize it because if you turn on CNN and you press mute and you watch it, every 6 to 10 seconds, there'll be a cut. There'll be a bubble. Something will change because that's our attention span. And if you're not changing it up, it's going to lead to mental laziness and people will tune you out.
I would think that a lot of us on the line are probably thinking about how our websites haven't changed enough over the years, too. Do you keep your website to be fresh, or do you pour most of your time and energy into your blog?
I update my website fairly regularly. I mean, I have a media page where I have all the interviews that I've done, and I keep that updated regularly. But on my my main website is hellomynamesScott.com. Yeah, I update it every day because I have my schedule on the front page that says where I'm going to be, and that updates constantly because it's chronological.
Okay.
I also have a counter at the bottom of my website. It's also my blog. It's the number of days I've been wearing a name tag, and that goes up every day. Today's like
that's hilarious.
It's like 3,061. I don't even know what it is, but the whole point is, I said it before. I think it bears repeating. Nobody wants to read a website if it's 2 years old. It's like a newspaper.
Absolutely. So Patricia Morgan asked about writing in first person or third person. Can you speak on that a little bit?
I mean, like
you're coming at it from your own voice. Scott is always the one writing, correct?
Yeah. To me, it would. I guess I never even considered the possibility of writing in any way other than me because that's. Yeah, I guess I don't really understand the question. Why would you not write straight from your experience? Like, I mean, if you're telling
websites, you tend to write more in the third person about yourself.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, completely different. I think that's where it came from.
Okay. Yeah. I understand that. I think people do that because they want to look bigger, and it sounds more testimonial based. And Scott is the leader, and. Maybe on your contact page, I get that. And certain pages, yeah. I mean, third person is probably better. But if you're writing a blog post, it's you, man. That's why you're there. It's a personalization. It's approachable. It's one-on-one. And I think the secret is to find a way to integrate your humanity into every area of your business, including your writing.
Right. So lots of questions coming in about increasing traffic to your blog.
Okay.
Have you got some ideas on that?
Yes, I will give you a couple off the top of my head. Number one, if you post every day, you will get more traffic. So the more you post, the more people come.
Fair enough.
Number two, if you do a newsletter, I would feature recent blog posts in your newsletter and make them hyperlinks so that way all your subscribers just kind of go right over to it.
Okay.
In your posts, you got to use lists. People love lists. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into this because it's really technical and I don't know anything about it in order to sound smart, but just look up dig, D-I-G-G, and stumble upon. And if you go on my blog, I have what's called a share this toolbar, and it basically enables every possible social networking that you can do. You want to get that immediately. The whole point is, back to that equation of so fat, stumble upon, obsess over, fall in love with, become addicted to, tell their friends about. You want to enable that. You want to make it like super easy that someone could say, hey, Bob, if you've seen Jane Atkinson's post, let me email you really quick. And bam, it's there. So you want to make it super easy with some of those tools. That's sort of some mechanical stuff. And, let's not forget the stuff we talked about. You want to get more traffic, you got to be an awesome writer. You got to have a great voice. You got to be focused. You got to be provocative. I mean, nobody buys boring. Nobody notices normal. So normality is the enemy.
How much do you think the social media sites, you talked about Dig and I forget, Stumble Upon, what about Facebook and Twitter as far as drawing people to your blog?
Twitter has been an excellent source of blog traffic, and I haven't not been on Twitter very long, like a few months maybe. But yeah, every blog post, I put it on Twitter. But I don't say, hey, look at my new blog post, because once again, nobody cares about you. So every day on Twitter, because I'll do a half a dozen or a dozen Twitter posts in the morning of really provocative, really thought-provoking stuff. But when I do my blog, I usually post my blog at like 9 or 10 when I'm done writing. What I'll do is like the headline that I mentioned earlier, 24 ways to turn vulnerability into profitability.
Right.
I'll put that as my Twitter post, then put the link. So it could be written by me. It probably is, but it's in a way that just says, here's the content, here's what you're going to learn, not, hey, I'm great. So that gets a lot of traffic. Facebook is the same way. Twitter actually is like the gateway drug to Facebook, because Twitter is just, what are you doing? Facebook has that plus everything else. So every blog post, put it on Facebook. There's an application within the share this toolbar that'll help you do that. And it's a piece of cake. And I'm amazed with Facebook. I wrote Facebook off. I take everything back I said. Facebook is awesome.
Right. Well, it's definitely continuing to grow and be able to. I think the best thing that they've ever done is is integrating things like Twitter to it, so that you can blend everything together and really do all this stuff in one place. Okay, so now you got your Twitter updates right on your blog. Is that something that you would just hand off to your technical person?
Yeah, when actually the blog studio, I noticed on one of their customers' blogs, I'm like, oh, cool, you can put the Twitter thing on there. I said, can you do it on my blog? And they're like, yeah, sure, And I was like, good, do it. Send me an invoice. Done.
They just throw a little code on there. Okay, so probably people will do some things by themselves and some not. So let me get to a few of these questions here. We'll just pause here really quickly. And it appears Scott archives all blogs by date. Any thoughts on having blogs saved by topic? That's from Laura Harris. Thanks, Laura.
Yeah, that's extremely important, and it depends on the platform that you use. On Blogger, if you go down to the end of every one of my blog posts, it has the tags, the meta tags, and I choose those based on the topic. And I think that's important to do because people will use them. Organizing by topic is a good thing to do. It's probably more for you than it is for readers because it's about content management, and you can go back and be like, all right, okay, where are all the blog posts I wrote about being an approachable leader? And I'll click on it, and bam, there it is. And it does enable easy content management, and I think that's a great suggestion, whoever asked that question.
Yeah, that was Laura Harris. Thanks, Laura. And the thing is that I learned when I was first setting up my blog is all of my categories were actually keywords as well.
Yeah.
So I think it was helping to drive the hits to my website as well. So think about your categories that you are putting your posts under. Laura, you might be thinking about leadership and things that are going to be, or small business ownership or something like that, things that are going to be really helpful for your readers.
Yeah, also, can I add another point on the tags? Make sure that every time you blog, you use your full name as one of the tags, no matter what the post is.
Okay, very good. You're saying, I'm going to listen to this recording because you've thrown out so many things. I know people are feeling like it's trying to take a sip of water from a fire hose here today. So go back to the recording and we'll listen to it. I'll post the recording for everybody who's been on the line so that we can go back. There's a lot of technical things. I know you aren't really a huge tech head, which is why you're giving us so much good information kind of on the other side of things. But tell me, Dave Rodwell wants to know about how the RSS feeds work.
RSS stands for really simple syndication, and the best definition I can give you, it's like TiVo for the internet. And every blog should have an RSS feed on it that you set up. You physically create a feed, which essentially there are people that don't want to come to your blog. They just want to open up their feed reader and just bam, your posts are one after another, bam, 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 so they can read it. That's important to do because there's some people that'll never actually go to your blog, but they'll read it every day because they get the feed. So, you want to make it easy to sign up, easy to subscribe, every possible feed option that's out there. And once again, like the social media things, there's like a whole patch of tags that you can put in there. Have your tech guy do it. I don't know how to do it. All I know is get a feed, find out where your subscribers are, because that's your permission asset.
Yeah. It's very easy in a lot of the ones like WordPress is you just choose which feed you want and they just go automatically. It's pretty simple to do. But, you've got me thinking that I'm going to call, what's the name of your blogging company again?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I am not like an affiliate, so I don't actually get any money. I love them. So the name is called The Blog Studio. Mm-hmm. And the individual you need to talk to, her name is Lucia Mancuso.
All right. I'm calling Lucia.
Yeah, they are.
I know I could be doing better. I know I entered into it, and I just I stumbled into it, and now I have something big happening, and I'm not managing it well. So thanks for that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to a comment or a question from Candace Asher. Do you ever repeat content?
No, I do not write anything twice. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I write for 7 hours a day. So no, I don't repeat content. I don't recycle. I know if I've written something or not. What I will do though, there's a way that you can reinforce something. So an example is
promote. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I fully believe, you got to have links. You don't want to have too many links in each post, but it's good to have an external link. I'm a big believer in linking to something else you've written. So I'll give you an example. I wrote a blog post that happened to do really well recently. It was called 30 Ways to Become the Most Interesting Person You Know. And within that, number 17 or whatever, it was called Avoid the Always. And I sort of summarized that concept of what that meant. And then I said, in parentheses, by the way, I wrote a very practical, meaty article on this topic. Here's a link if you want to read more on this, so you save space but still cross-promote.
Right, good. When you're trying, do you ever worry that you're going to confuse your readers if you give them too many options? Like, do you try to keep it to maybe two things?
Yeah.
One link to a past article and then one call to action and email me for the report or something?
Yeah, a confused mind never buys.
Mm-hmm.
And contemplation is the enemy. So I don't overdo it. I have one, maybe two links within it. You don't overdo it. And it can be scary to think, oh my God, I wouldn't want someone to leave my page. Like, well, have some faith in your writing that if you're really good, they'll come back.
Right. Talk about if you were promoting something specific, like a new speech or a new book. What would you do with that?
A lot of good examples there. If you're a professional speaker and you don't have video footage of you speaking on your blog regularly, you're missing out, man. Any clips you get them up there and have a whole category dedicated to your speaking clips. What was the other one? Oh yeah, books. Amazon has a cool widget. Well, it's not Amazon. It's like a third-party company, but look on my website. There's a great book widget. You can also do, this is what I found to be really effective. Statistically, people like free stuff. So I've written 8 books. The one book that sold the most in terms of like online sales, in 2007, I wrote a new book and I posted the entire book as an ebook, full color, for free, no strings attached.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like, oh, were you kidding? Why would you do that? And this is what I wrote. The headline was, the name tag guy gives away his 4th book for free, no strings attached. And it was a picture of the cover, and it very simply said, I love this book so much. I worked so hard on this book. I want to give it to everybody. I don't care. Take it for free. And then here's the link. Download the PDF, and then it says asterisk, warning. If you read this book, I guarantee you will want to buy it. And they did.
You're so good. That's terrific. Okay, so if you didn't want to give it away, though, you would actually promote it right on your blog?
Yeah. A previous book, I did like 10 chapters as PDFs from my 50-chapter book, and just every day had a new chapter and then a link to the book, and just got people excited. You want them to read one chapter and go, man, if the chapter is this good, I got to get this book.
Okay, terrific. That's a great idea. Here's a question about monitoring comments. Do you monitor comments before you post them on the site?
No, I don't, and that's a big debate. And you know what? I get some spam every once in a while, but if I've ever posted a comment on someone else's blog and it said, like, you're awaiting moderation, I'm like, really? I mean, that's just, it seems kind of unapproachable, and it's like that's part of being vulnerable, is being open to comments, and it's like, just let people do it. Just make it open to everybody. If you get spam, then okay, delete it, close comments for the post. But it's like, you never know what people are going to write. If you're lucky, people will tell you how much they hate you, because that's good for 2 reasons. Number one, you're nobody until somebody hates you. And then number 2, if somebody writes how much they hate you or how wrong you are, you know what other people start doing? Coming to your defense.
Defending you. Oh, wow, that's great.
So,
great.
You know what? Let it in, man. Let the hate mail come. I get hate mail all the time. And my I wear a name tag 24/7 to make people friendlier, and I get hate mail. Figure that out.
I don't see how it's possible. My big issue was that I had, 12,000 spam coming in, so I just didn't know what to do with it.
Okay. If you have 12,000 spam coming in, if that's the case, you might have not turned on the spam protector.
Okay, maybe I need to do something there.
Yeah, within most platforms, there's, click this button to protect it from spam bots. So that you have what's it called, the word verification, where they have to put in, VXB5, stuff like that.
Okay, good idea, yeah.
Yeah, know it's spam. I mean, it's so obvious. And I was like, I don't care. I just delete it. It's over. It's, I got better stuff to worry about.
No biggie. Okay. Let's go back to one from Rob Shore. He wanted you to talk about, where did that go? Delicious. What do you
I don't know. You know what? I got nothing. Delicious is an option on my blog, and people can post it. I actually have no idea how it works, and I have no answer for that question.
Fair enough. And we've said, you're coming at this from a writing standpoint.
Yeah.
You are a writer, and you are posting your content, and all of the technical behind-the-scenes stuff, you probably take over to the blog studio and say, okay, get this happening for me. What about, let's talk briefly, because your video, I have to tell you, I've seen a lot of people try to do their own video. nametagtv.com was looking really hot, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good for you, Scott. So tell us a little bit of just about how you did that.
Okay. I have a whole seminar about this whole topic, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but I appreciate you bringing it up, and I thank you for your kind words. If you go to nametagtv.com, you'll realize that it is awesome, and it is fun, and it's cool and educational, and I don't even know where to start on this. I think the secret to nametagtv.com is I didn't wait until I knew what I was doing, and I did everything myself. I built a studio in my house, a professional studio. I took lessons. I paid the price. Go to nametagtv.com. I spent $50,000 on that.
Wow. Okay. You did it right. I can tell you did it right.
Wow. $50,000. And that was just to get it up and running.
Yeah.
And it is worth it because it's my own platform. See, I'm a big believer in be the exception to as many rules as you can. Change the rules so you can win at your own game, or change the game so there are no rules. That's what I did. Think about it. There's like 5,000 speakers out there, okay? And they might have unbelievable clips. Their demos can be fantastic. They can have a 20-minute section from a speech they gave that changed people's lives, and it's on YouTube, and it's awesome. But you know what? There's 500 million videos on YouTube. Why would anyone care about yours?
Right.
With that in mind, my thought was, wait a minute. Why would I put myself on YouTube where there's competition? Wouldn't it make sense to remove the threat of competition and take that variable out of the equation and build an entire platform based around my school of thought, where it's me and that's it? Duh. So that's what I did, and that's why it's awesome. That's the philosophy behind it. I don't want to get into the technical production aspects of video because that'll take another couple hours. But the point is, look at that. This whole crap of like a dude in the office holding a camera, like in front of, hey, this is Dave from Solutions Incorporated. Today we're terrible.
And that is my big beef with video. It's almost always done horribly. And
you know
so
why?
I really want people to go to nametagtv.com so that they can see how to do it properly. And you do your things in snippets, short little bites, correct?
What did we talk about earlier? 6 to 10 seconds is the attention span. If you have a video longer than 3 minutes, people are gone. And every 10 seconds you have to cut. You got to change. It's got to be fun. It's got to be cool. I don't care how smart you are. If you're a dude in an office holding a camera, you're dead.
Dude or dudette. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So I would really like people to experience that. Now, a question came in about how to spell technorati. Let me ask you this. The free giveaway that you're going to give, are some of the things that we've talked about listed in there?
Everything that I've said today is in a document that I put together for the people that are listening.
And it's called?
Now, before I say this, I want you to think back to what we talked about. Remember the call to action at the end of a blog post where it is, let me suggest this, blah, blah, blah? Okay, I'm about to do that right now. So I want you to listen to what I'm doing because I'm sort of meta telling you what's going on. If you would like a copy of the list entitled 72 Ways to Take Your Blog from Anonymous to Award-Winning, send an email to me and I will send you the list for free. So what's going to happen is, if you want that list, you're going to send an email to scott@helloMyNameIsScott.com. You're going to say, hey, Scott, this is Dave. I was on Jane's call. Can you send me that list? Thanks. I will reply to you, and I will give you the instructions. Here's how to get the list. And I want you to look at the email that I send you. That's the call to action email. That is how I get all my leads. That's how I make money. It works.
And the link that you're going to provide, I'm assuming someone is going to need to put in their name and email address in order to get the list, correct?
And why wouldn't they? I mean, if I'm
name squeeze? No, we talked about name squeeze on websites and things like that, and this is the whole idea. Write to me. What you're really saying is, come into my network, come into my zone so that you can benefit from all of the things which I know about, which, it sounds like you know a lot. So I think every single person should be writing to you after this, and I want the report myself, so I'm going to do it too.
Yeah, and what will happen is, you'll become part of the permission asset. And I've been doing this 20 to 30 times a day for years now. I've had, I'm going to say maybe 2 people that have ever I'm not going to put it, I don't want to be on your list. And I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah. But that's happened 2 out of 50,000 people, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. The reason I do it is because I am happy to do an hour-long teleseminar and to write a special report because that's delivering value. That's what I do as a business person. So in my experience, I think that's a perfectly humble request and a fair trade for someone to give me their email. Of course, I know that none of us are in the speaking business. We're in the name accumulation business.
Well, I just can't get over how much good stuff that you've given everybody. If somebody wanted to take action, say they don't have a blog at all, what do they need to do today before the end of the day today?
Okay, the first thing you're going to do is the question exercise, and I'll repeat the question. If everybody did exactly what you said, what would the world look like? I want you to sit down, brainstorm that, because you can't start until you know your niche and your narrow expertise and your specific philosophy. Then when you get that, I want you to make a list. Number 2, another list. 101 blog post ideas.
Good list. Okay, that's a good one.
And it's a piece of cake. 101 lists are so easy. It can be, number 1, we're not in the speaking business, we're in the name accumulation business. Okay, number 2, Smiley makes people friendlier. Okay, number 3, it'll take an hour. Do it. Now you have your blog posts essentially organized for the next 3 months or 4 months. The third step is going to be to just figure out which one you want to use. WordPress really is the best one. Everybody agrees on it. I don't use it. If I had to do it again, I would go on WordPress. Go on WordPress or Typepad Blogger and just start it. Just do it. Don't be stopping not knowing how. Just start, and you'll be fine.
Terrific. So, and then let's add one more thing to the list. They're going to email Scott at hellomynameisscott.com, and they're going to ask for the free report. And that free report is going to contain some of the names of sites and things like that we've been talking. Is Technorati in there?
I don't know. It might be. If it's not,
let me spell it for it. Let me spell it out just in case. It's TECHNORATI. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just, I'm sure if you Google it and misspell it, it will correct you.
Okay, terrific. That's the brilliance of Google.
And if I might add one last thing, obviously there's millions and millions and millions of blogs out there. A lot of people are probably wondering, well, do I have to read blogs all day to learn how to do it? Well, yes and no. There's certain blogs of people that you probably want to read and people that you're fans of. But if you're overwhelmed by the fact that there's 175,000 new blogs every single day, here's my suggestion. There's only 2 blogs you need to read, Seth Godin and Copy Blogger.
Copy Blogger.
Because Seth Godin is the smartest man in the history of the world, and he is the #1 marketing blog on the web, and he's a genius. Copy Blogger is the #1 blog overall in the world, period. And it is genius. Just read Seth's blog and read Copy Blogger, and you'll be fine. I guess you can read my blog if you want, but I'd start with those other 2 guys because they're much richer than I am.
That's terrific. Well, I know that we're going to have a ton of people emailing you. Let me just open up the lines here so we can say, Scott, my goodness, thank you so much. I know there'll be lots of questions falling out of this, and I know that a lot of the answers will be in that free report. So Scott at hellomynameisscott.com. That will get you tell me the name of the report again.
Once again, it is entitled 72 Ways to Take Your Blog from Anonymous to Award-Winning.
Thank you to Scott Ginsberg for being with us today for Blogging Your Way to More Business. I'm Jane Atkinson.
Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speaker Show. Please visit speakerlauncher.com for your free Wealthy Speaker audit and visit speakerlauncher.com/podcast for show notes and many more resources to help you catapult your speaking business. See you soon, Wealthy Speakers.